Imagine standing in front of a crowd. Someone suddenly points a finger at you and shouts, "You are a liar." Your heart beats faster. Instantly, your instinct tells you, "I must defend myself. I must explain, I must clear my name." But here's the hidden truth. The moment you defend yourself, you have already lost. Niccolò Machiavelli, the Renaissance thinker whose writings shaped the very foundations of modern power and politics, warns us that defending yourself is never a show of strength, it is always a confession of weakness. Defending yourself does not make you appear innocent. It makes you appear desperate. And desperation is blood in the water for enemies who seek to destroy your reputation. In his legendary work, The Prince, Machiavelli makes it clear that the successful leader, the one who rises above the rest, never allows himself to look like a man on trial. He does not beg, he does not explain, and he does not try to prove his purity. Instead, he understands a brutal reality. People do not care about truth. They care about power, confidence, and appearances. In this video, we dive deep into one of Machiavelli's most ruthless insights: never defend yourself. We will break down why defending yourself is a silent surrender, why appearances are stronger than reality, and how this principle can transform you from a vulnerable target into an untouchable force. This lesson is divided into 7 powerful parts. Today we begin with the first 2. Part 1. Why defending yourself is the same as surrendering power. Part 2. Why Machiavelli taught that appearances matter more than truth, and how silence can be louder than explanation. Prepare yourself, because what you are about to learn will change the way you respond to attacks, insults, and accusations for the rest of your life. Part 1. Defending yourself is surrendering power. Let us start with the core of the problem. Why does defending yourself weaken you? The answer lies in a psychological law that Machiavelli understood centuries before modern psychology explained it. When you defend yourself, you acknowledge the attack. You say to the world, "Yes, this criticism matters so much that I must fight it." And the moment you do that, you shift power away from yourself and toward your accuser. They decide the topic. They set the frame. They drag you into their arena and you enter it willingly. Consider this simple example. 2 colleagues are competing for a promotion. One says in front of the boss, "You know, he isn't reliable. He's always late with his projects." If the other instantly protests, "That's not true. I have proof, I can explain." Notice what has happened. The boss now sees a man who looks guilty, a man desperate to explain. Even if he is innocent, his defensive energy plants a seed of doubt. This is exactly what Machiavelli warns against. He knew that perception always overpowers truth. If you defend, you look guilty. If you remain calm, the attacker begins to look petty, desperate, or insecure. Defending yourself is not only weak, it is also endless. Once you start explaining, you must keep explaining. Every new attack demands a new answer. Soon you are chained to your enemy's words, reacting endlessly, never leading. That is surrender. And in the game of power, surrender is fatal. Instead of defending, Machiavelli recommends projecting confidence. Ignore the attack or redirect it. When you refuse to defend, you send a signal, "I'm above this." The accusation is too small to even notice. And strangely, the audience often believes this more than any logical defense you could ever give. In silence, there is strength. In defending, there is surrender. That is the first Machiavellian law of power. Part 2. Machiavelli's principle of appearances. Now let us turn to Machiavelli's second principle, one that explains why defending yourself is so destructive. The principle of appearances. Machiavelli wrote that rulers must care more about appearances than reality, because ordinary people judge only what they see. They cannot read your heart, they cannot investigate the truth, and most of them do not even care to try. What matters is not what you are, but what you look like. Think about a courtroom trial, but not the kind ruled by laws, rather, the court of public opinion. When someone accuses you, people are not searching for deep evidence. They are watching body language, tone, and confidence. If you are sweating, stuttering, or rushing to explain yourself, they see weakness. If you are calm, unbothered, and steady, they see strength. History gives us many examples. Consider the powerful rulers of ancient Rome. When Julius Caesar was accused of crimes and corruption, he rarely wasted time defending himself. Instead, he presented himself as bold, decisive, and destined for greatness. The public loved the image of Caesar more than they cared about the truth of the accusations. His enemies argued. Caesar simply appeared strong, and strength was all that mattered. Machiavelli's genius was to strip away the illusions of morality and show us the raw mechanics of human judgment. He tells us people believe what they see, and defending yourself shows them weakness. Even if your words are perfect, the image you project is one of fear. Contrast this with the leader who ignores the attack. He laughs, he changes the subject. He continues to act with confidence, as if the insult were nothing but a mosquito buzzing near his ear. What does the crowd see? They see a man untouchable. They see a figure so strong that even slander cannot move him. Machiavelli's lesson is brutal but liberating. You do not need to explain yourself to everyone. In fact, explanations are dangerous. You need only maintain the appearance of strength. Appearances control the minds of the majority, and power belongs to those who master appearances. So the next time someone throws mud at your name, remember, do not wipe it off frantically, because that only smears it further. Stand still, unshaken, and let the mud dry and fall by itself. In the eyes of the crowd, your stillness will look like dignity, and dignity is a form of power. Part 3. Silence as a weapon of power. If defending yourself is weakness, then what is the alternative? Machiavelli points us toward one of the most underestimated weapons in the arsenal of power: silence. Silence is not emptiness. Silence is not the absence of words. Silence is a deliberate act of dominance. When you refuse to respond to an attack, you force others to fill the silence with their own imagination, and imagination is far more powerful than explanation. Consider this. When someone insults you in public and you do not answer, the crowd begins to wonder, why did he not respond? Is he so confident that the insult is beneath him? Does he know something we don't? Is the attacker exposing his own insecurity by shouting louder? Your silence plants questions, and questions are seeds of doubt. Machiavelli understood that in politics, business, and even personal life, silence makes your enemies uncomfortable. They expect a fight. They want you to join the battlefield they prepared. When you stay silent, you deny them the satisfaction. Their anger grows. Their accusations begin to sound obsessive, almost pathetic, while you stand calm, untouchable. This is why silence is never weakness, it is strategy. In fact, silence is louder than words. The world reads your silence as confidence, and confidence is the language of power. Part 4. The trap of justification. Why do so many people fall into the trap of defending themselves? The answer lies in our natural desire for approval. Human beings fear rejection. We fear being misunderstood, hated, or cast aside. So when accused, we rush to justify ourselves, believing that truth will save us. But Machiavelli was ruthless in exposing this illusion. He knew that people are not ruled by truth. They are ruled by perception, by stories, by appearances. To justify yourself is to assume that your audience wants the truth, but most people do not. They want strength. They want clarity. They want to follow the one who looks unshaken, not the one who pleads for understanding. Justification also makes you predictable. Once your enemies know that you will always respond, they can control you forever. Every insult, every rumor, every accusation becomes a chain around your neck. You will spend your life explaining, while they spend their lives attacking. And here is the brutal truth. Even if you justify perfectly, not everyone will believe you. Some will always doubt. Some will always twist your words. And the more you justify, the deeper you sink into the swamp. Machiavelli would say, stop justifying. Stop explaining. Let your enemies speak. Let them exhaust themselves. The crowd will eventually see that their noise grows louder while your silence grows heavier. The man who does not justify himself becomes a mystery, and mystery is stronger than truth. Part 5. Appear stronger than you are. At this stage, Machiavelli gives us not just a warning, but a practical command. If you must respond, respond not with defense but with strength. Appear stronger than you are. Why? Because people are drawn to strength like moths to flame. Even if the accusation is true, even if you are guilty, defending will not save you. but appearing powerful, bold, and unbothered might. Power is not about purity, it is about presence. Imagine a king accused of cruelty. If he says, "I am not cruel, I am merciful, let me prove it," he looks weak. But if he stands tall and says, "Yes, I am severe, but my severity brings order and safety. Without me, you would face chaos." Suddenly his cruelty is transformed into necessity. He did not defend. He reframed the attack into a display of strength. This is the Machiavellian art. Never defend, but if forced, turn the accusation into evidence of power. If they call you ambitious, claim it proudly. "Yes, I am ambitious, and that is why I lead while others follow." If they call you ruthless, answer with confidence. "Yes, I am ruthless, because the world is dangerous, and only the strong survive." In this way, you are no longer defending, you are commanding. You are not explaining, you are reframing. Appear stronger than you are, and the attack becomes your weapon. Part 6. The power of patience and timing. Machiavelli teaches us that power is not only about strength, but also about timing. When accused or attacked, the instinct is to act quickly, to answer, to respond, to defend. But speed is often the enemy of power. Patience is a weapon. By waiting, by holding back, you show that you are not pressured by the words of others. The accuser expects you to react immediately, because immediate reaction looks like fear. But when you delay, when you appear completely unmoved, the weight of their attack begins to collapse under its own weakness. Think of a storm. If you rush outside in panic, the storm controls you. But if you wait inside, calm and steady, the storm eventually passes. Your stillness makes the storm look temporary and small. That is how accusations work. If you do not respond, if you let them hang in the air, people start to forget. The world moves on because people have short memories. But if you fight desperately to clear your name, you keep the story alive. Machiavelli understood this better than anyone. Silence and patience are not passive, they are active strategies. Timing allows your enemies to burn out while you remain unshaken. And when you finally do respond, it is not to defend but to dominate, to strike with precision at the exact moment when your opponent has exhausted himself. In power, timing is everything. The one who controls the rhythm of the battle controls the outcome. And defending yourself too soon is nothing but handing over that rhythm to your enemy. Part 7. Turning accusations into advantage. Now we arrive at the final lesson, the Machiavellian art of turning accusations into opportunities. We've already seen that defending yourself is weakness, that silence creates mystery, that justification is a trap, and that reframing is strength. But the most advanced strategy is this, to take what your enemy throws at you and turn it into a weapon against them. This is the principle of judo in the realm of power. Your enemy's force becomes your tool. If they call you arrogant, you might answer, "Yes, I am arrogant because I know my value and I refuse to bow to mediocrity." Now, arrogance becomes confidence. If they call you dangerous, you might answer, "Yes, I am dangerous, but only to those who wish harm upon my people." Now, danger becomes protection. Machiavelli admired leaders who used accusations as fuel to grow stronger. Every insult can be transformed into an image of authority if you handle it with confidence. By refusing to be a victim, by refusing to defend, you show the crowd that you are the master of perception, not its slave. This is not just philosophy, it is psychological warfare. People admire those who do not break under attack. They admire those who can flip an insult into a crown, a weakness into a weapon, a criticism into proof of greatness. And this, above all, is why Machiavelli's principle of never defending yourself is not simply about survival, it is about transformation. The attack becomes the fire that forges your image of power. Ending the Machiavellian lesson for you. So what do we learn from Machiavelli? We learn that in the game of power, defending yourself is never the path to victory. To defend is to kneel before your enemy's words. To defend is to say, "Your attack matters more than my presence." And that is fatal. Instead, Machiavelli gives us a sharper weapon: silence, patience, appearances, reframing, and the transformation of accusations into tools of dominance. He reminds us that truth is weak, but perception is strong. People do not care who you really are, they care what you look like. And if you look calm, confident, untouchable, then in their eyes you are powerful. The next time you are attacked, resist the urge to explain. Resist the urge to prove. Do not scramble to defend yourself. Remember Machiavelli's words. Hold your silence. Stand your ground. Appear stronger than ever. And if you choose to respond, do not respond with defense. Respond with power. Because in the end, those who never defend themselves never appear weak, and those who never appear weak never lose. This is Machiavelli's dark but timeless wisdom. Never defend yourself. Flip the attack into power. Appear untouchable, and you will rise above the rest.